Good evening, everyone. This is the November 9th, 2022 meeting of the Environmental Advisory Committee in McCandless. Judy Bishop, our chairperson, is away this week, so you're stuck with me. I'm Dave Minard, the vice chair. So we'll call the meeting to order. First item, as usual, is approval of the minutes from the October meeting. Any comments or issues or anything? Nothing from there? No. Motion to approve, please.
I'll second.
Jeff and Ken, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, cool. Thank you. Next, we get through the project updates. So we'll just turn to the manager of each of the projects and give a little update. So first up is the GET solar program with Tony.
Yeah, so
Anything happening?
we've had a couple meetings with Leo since our last EAC meeting, and then we've had a couple meetings together. We got approval from Brian to do outreach in McCandless, so that's good. We put together sort of a draft of a flyer, and we're starting to organize a list of some different organizations to outreach to. So, so that's what we're at now. We haven't actually done any of the outreach at this point, but we do. I know Dawn's working on some social media flyers, so we'll put some things out on social media. Maybe ask NAEC or some of the other organizations to put some things on their social media as well. And hopefully we can garner some interest in the area. Yeah. Did I miss anything there, guys?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We do have a meeting tomorrow with Leo. Leo Kowalski is the one that's running the program. So we'll update him on where we're at. And I think we're getting pretty close. Once we have a couple flyers laid out, maybe some sort of general email explaining the Get Solar program, then we can start actually outreaching. So, yeah.
And there's a timeline or deadline for the outreach, is that correct?
Yeah, so the applications are due mid-January, and then there's a webinar December 13th. So I think the goal is to, if people are actually interested, they would go see the webinar and kind of learn more about it.
Okay.
And then from there, if they wanted to, they could fill out an application. And once the application is submitted, it is sent out to a bunch of the solar installers in the area. They submit, it's almost like an RFP, right? Then they'll submit their proposals, and the organization can choose whether they want to accept any of the proposals. And then the PA Solar Center and myself can help with any sort of, I don't know, helping out, helping them understand the proposal or whatever the case may be. Yeah, so.
So Tony, is your timeline 2 months between now and getting people to the application process being mid-January?
Yeah, I'm hoping to have, we definitely have to get moving. Yeah, so I'm hoping to have some people come to the webinar, right? Because that's kind of the initial information stage if people are interested. So yeah, it's we were waiting on a couple things, but we now have approval from McCandless, and I was waiting on a list of potential organizations, so I received that today. Yeah.
Okay.
And
You need a certain number of businesses committed or not? Did I hear that at a previous meeting or not?
Yeah, I think Leo was kind of just, they were pulling numbers out of a hat. I think he had mentioned maybe
It's a goal. It's
10
not a
interest.
requirement.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like a goal of having 10 interested that would actually fill out an application was kind of what he was thinking. We'll see. Hopefully we beat that, but yeah, there's no requirement.
Okay, sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
And may I add one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
The requirement isn't actually just McCandless. So if we know somebody over the border in Ross that's interested, they're certainly welcome to participate.
Yeah, great point, Jack. We were actually talking about, kind of once we have our sort of social media flyer, we were going to send it to some of the other EACs to see if they'd be interested in just, putting it on their website or if they have a newsletter or something. Yeah.
And Tony, I am working on that. I should have something to you tomorrow. It's almost done. I'm still messing with it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I know that I had to bail on our meeting last night, so that was,
Well, that was
Oh,
good. I worked. I took that time to work on the social media flyer. I'm just
oh,
not
okay.
done with it. I'm just, it needs to sit for a little bit and then I'll get it finished.
Great. It looks like you're on a cattle farm tonight.
Yep, I am.
Yeah.
Freedom Farms in Valencia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so
Um,
happy Zoom doesn't have a smell feature.
I love a cow barn. Love it.
Just watch where you walk.
I think that's all I had for you, Dave.
Okay, anything else? Nope, very good. Thank you, Tony. Let's move on. Dawn, you're up next with the rain garden maintenance project. Think it's over with, but
It's over. There's really
Yeah.
nothing.
for the season.
Yeah, so we'll pick back up in the spring next year. We still have a couple rain gardens to uncover, and we still have a lot of work to do in the gardens that have been uncovered. But there's a plan in place, and once we've gotten it to the place where it can be easily maintained, then we'll submit a plan to the town about having a group maintain it, but we're not quite there yet. So for now, we can take it off the agenda.
Okay,
But can I slip in real quick? So the North Area Environmental, the NAEC, approached us about a possible opportunity for a grant for tool money for working on trails and removing invasives. It would not just be for our EAC and for use in our parks. They want us to reach out to other EACs, which should be easy to do since we've been meeting with some of the other northern EACs. So I'm super interested in going after that. So I'm going to put something together, and then when we meet with the other EACs again, see if any of them are interested in participating. And the deal would be that basically they'd give us these tools and we would just have to share them and maintain them. So just do we know when the next meeting's going to be, or which EAC? Did anybody volunteer to host it?
no, at the last meeting in Ross, there wasn't any talk about the next meeting. Kind of assume it would be after the first of the year.
Mhm.
That probably makes the most sense, but no one stepped forward and said, okay, we'd like to host the next meeting.
Okay.
Probably if no one does, maybe we need to do it if there's, items that that we want to talk about with the other, folks.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll loop back to Judy after I've got the grant sort of drafted, and then see, what she's heard, and then we can go
Yeah.
from there. If nothing else, we can send an email to them all and see who's interested.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure if Judy has heard anything from the other EACs or anything. She didn't tell me anything about that, but yeah, maybe connect with her next week on that.
Okay.
Is that removing invasives in North Park, or is it?
So we
Some-
would have the tools to use in Potter and Wall, Devlin, and likewise the other northern EACs that are interested could use it in their own parks.
Okay.
So this is just the NAEC, giving us a grant of tools. It would be a lot like the North Park program, though, where there's a box, it has a combination. The EACs have access, the combination changes periodically. There's a
Oh.
sign-in sheet. There's rules about maintaining the tools, and if you don't follow them, you don't get the combination when it changes, but essentially it works like that. So it's a nice free gift, and we have very little we have to do other than put some sort of grant together for them. So
Don had come up with a really good idea to maybe put it down at the Heritage Center, which I think was a great idea.
yeah, maybe having that be the central locations for all EACs to access the toolbox, but certainly, we'll open it up to any suggestions the other EACs may have about a good central location. But that's how they do it at North Park with their ranger program. They have a lockbox, and once you're a steward, a certified steward, you can access the tools and borrow them even for your own projects. So lots of great opportunities for us to get tools are opening up. So that's all I have there.
Okay, great. Deer management update,
Ah,
they're all over the place.
That's the update.
Other than that, that's all.
I exchanged an email with Suburban and, in September, they harvested 16 and in October, they harvested 26. So second year of the program, they're starting to get some momentum. And the best part is they said that they're adding a lot of new landowners to the program,
Oh, cool.
which is what we need is to get, more landowners involved so that we have more areas that hunters can harvest the mature does and so forth. So that's what I have for now.
I think there was a nice article in the North Weekly or North Allegheny Weekly about it.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
That might have spurred some interest. I don't know.
I think that was the North Journal,
North
unless it
Journal.
was, okay. I know North Journal had an article too,
Yeah,
but they've already exceeded all the deer that took in the entire season last year, which was the last 2 weeks in September all the way through January.
Oh, good.
So that's pretty impressive. And they're also looking forward to putting together a incentive program for hunters for next year.
The
Do you
incentive
have to, oh, I'm sorry.
incentive program is there's expense once you harvest the deer, of getting the meat processed and all of that. And also trying to encourage hunters to harvest the mature does. That's just our incentive to get them to harvest the does because that's where the population comes from. So it's one of those things that's just been talked about a little bit, but we have, as far as I know, we haven't gotten into any real specifics on that yet.
I just have a quick question. Do you have to be a resident of Allegheny County to apply for?
No,
Okay.
one of the people I recommended's from up in Butler County, but he just likes to come down here, so.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So can I ask one question that's sort of unrelated? John and I talked about this today. So my wife and I walk on Irwin Road all the time, which is the land preserve.
The bottom part's North Park and the upper part's the Allegheny Land Trust.
Exactly, Allegheny Land Trust, exactly right. That's exactly right. So either one. And this has nothing to do with, your project or even, I think, even McCandless, but, so there's been piles of deer that have been thrown over the side.
That's highway kills.
Yeah, all highway kills. And so, I mean, like, just heaps of them. And so, somebody complained, and I'm not sure who they did. I would have thought to complain to McCandless, but that would have been wrong. And then somebody came down and spray painted where they are. So maybe they're gonna come and throw lime on them or something like that. But, and I'm not even sure what the question is that I'm asking, but how do you find out who the perpetrators are? Is it somebody who's contracted? And I'm only asking you as like a, sort of off the subject, but is it somebody who's contracted by a certain community to clean up the kill in their area that would be disposing them illegally?
Jeff, there's a problem on Pine Creek Road. I have no way of proving it, but there's quite a number of, conceivably, these could be deer that are crossing the road and hit and just
That's
get
right.
thrown over Pine Creek guardrail, but there's an awful lot of dead bodies that end up near my house over the guardrail, and I know it because I deal with the smell
Sure.
during the certain decomposition period when it's really bad. And it's just shocking the number of deer that die by my house. And I'm convinced they're getting dumped by,
Well, I would
I
say.
hate to point a
100%
finger
part of
without
it.
being able to prove it, but literally there was a groundhog one time, or what was it, a raccoon or something? And it was put on this thrown into the weeds on the side of the road with somebody had taken like some handfuls of weeds and dumped it over top as if to hide the body. My dogs found it right away when we walk them. But it was like so clearly like a dump. And I was, anyway. It's disgusting.
With the highway kills, when you go back years ago, if the deer wasn't all busted up, they would take it to a hospital or an orphanage or other place and they could use the meat. It's not federally inspected meat. So now all the deer that get hit on the roads, no matter what their condition, have to be disposed of. There's a number of different, it makes it very hard to tell how many, when we were doing an initial study on how many are actually hit on roads in McCandless, because you have state roads, you have county roads, and you've got McCandless roads. And so each of those have a different person who's responsible for picking up the deer. Well, what do they do with them when they pick up dead deer? They've got to get rid of them somewhere. So
But the
generally,
contractors that we use should be disposing of them in whatever manner they've agreed to dispose, not throwing them over the roadside. Right?
I can't speak to that. And I have not seen those contracts that McCandless has with the vendor that picks them up in McCandless. So, but, you know, it's at this particularly right now, it's the rut. So you get a lot of deer acting senselessly and getting hit by cars. And so they need to dispose of them. Generally, you know, just the mindset of somebody doing that is going to be, this is a place out of the way I can dump them there. So there probably is no, you know, I can't speak that there's any organization to it. It's just that they have to dispose of those corpses one way or another. And so that's something that you know, when on Irwin Road, that would be the county's responsibility to check into. With Dawn, I would start asking with the police, because the police would probably be aware of if that's occurring, that it's more than just accidental road kills. If somebody's actually actively dumping them there.
The Jeff, for Irwin Road, I don't know, I would think you could call the health department and lodge a complaint. That would be a good place to start an
It's been
investigation.
spray painted and pointing toward, because there's a heap of, there's 10 here, then you
I
go to,
sus-
there's another 10 there. And
Yeah.
so somebody probably complained because somebody came down and spray painted. And my guess is that you're spray painting it to point to a place where you want to put lime on them or something, identify them in some official way. But
I would, since it's on county, in a county park, I would start. I can give you Andy Beckley's number after the meeting if you want his number. He's the director of the parks. And he can, you know, guide you on that.
okay, good. That's great. Thank you.
I would think that's probably Pine Township, right?
No, it's still McCandless up until. Because it's right behind mine. Yeah, I mean, it might be 70% pine, now that you say that. It might be 30% McCandless.
Yeah, the line goes right through there.
Yeah.
Because they might be a good resource to their police department.
Mhm.
I'll run it by our chief. I can't possibly imagine that we would permit that in our town.
Yeah, I don't have any idea what the contract says for the vendor that's, you know, responsible for picking up the road kill deer in McCandless. I've never investigated that.
I could see their name. I just can't articulate it right now, but they're pretty Johnny on the spot. If they get to a deer that's been badly decomposed, they don't remove it. They just throw lime on it to help suppress the smell and make it decompose more quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is part of the issue has been with McCandless with the excess deer population. Other than archery hunters, the only other way we have of controlling the population is cars. So I like when I'm talking about deer management, I like to start off by saying, we all love to see deer until they're in front of the hood of our car.
Yeah.
You know. So that's all I have on the deer management. for the second year, I think they're making very good progress as far as both harvesting and getting people, new landowners, into the program. This is a ongoing thing, the hunt in North Park, the whitetail hunters in North Park. That's been ongoing for over 20 years, and they're still taking over 100 deer a year out of the park. So
I'm assuming you have to be registered to be able to hunt, be one of the harvesters, right?
you have a landowner can allow you to hunt on their land if they choose, they're sovereign. And they can tell you can't hunt Saturday morning or whatnot. What we're trying to encourage is using suburban whitetail hunters. Partly because the people that are there have shown proficiency with the bow, and past kills that shows that they actually know what they're doing. They're given an area, they're responsible for that. There's insurance. Their car is noted, so you know who it is. It's just not a random car. It's a much more structured, responsible way of doing it. But I know behind my house, the next property over, he has a guy that he has allowed to hunt down there for a number of years, and that's what he's chosen to do.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
So can we follow up, Jack, can we follow up with the town and find out? I don't know, is vendor the right word? The guy who removes the deer for the town.
He's a contractor.
Contractor.
Now, the state has a different contractor than we do, but we can have the town look into it.
At least with the town and maybe with the county, if you can
Yeah,
connect with Andy on that and see what they say. Good luck with PennDOT getting any info from them, but
That's part of the issue is you've got all these different entities involved, and who's responsible for what on which road and everything. So it's difficult to check what's going on.
Yeah, but still, it's just so wrong if anybody is taking these animals and dumping them over the hill of the park. It's just unbelievable. I can't comprehend why they would do that.
yeah, and Don, Pine Creek Road, it's not like there's a turn off or something. I mean, you have to kind of stop traffic, right? To do this?
Yeah, conceivably, yeah. Depending on
Well, I
what
know
time of day you come through. But
I've hit 2 deer on Pine Creek Road myself, so there's a lot
are you
of
throwing them
deer.
over the hill, Jack? Is that you that keeps throwing them over my guardrail?
Well,
Process them.
the areas that deer get hit are like there's a dead deer on the side of McKnight Road, right if you're coming down the hill on Ingomar to get onto McKnight Road.
Yeah.
Right at the end of that, there's a dead doe there. Over the course of the year, there'll probably be 10 or 15 dead deer at that spot.
Yeah.
So to some extent, with Dawn checking to see if somebody's actually dumping them there, or if that just happens to be a place that deer cross and get hit a lot. One of those humorous asides, I had a friend that she wanted the deer crossing sign moved down the road because deer kept getting hit in front of her house.
Yeah. They were looking at the sign so they could know where to cross.
All right, anything kind of related, anything on Wall Park? Any updates or anything on that, Jack? Or
I don't know anything.
Yeah, at our joint EAC conference in Ross, I talked to a naturalist, somebody that actually puts in for, I guess, the DEP puts in for the permits and what have you. And she's a longtime personal friend. So we went down, we walked the trail, and she said the only part that is really a problematic, other than the beginning, and I know that the beginning is all cattail, but the middle has a bad section in it that might be problematic. But Dawn and I talked about this. I think we're just going to build one along the side of the hillside And then we'll deal with trying to get grant money and everything to put one right up the middle where we want it. It's interesting, last week I went to the Three Rivers Wet Rivers Conference, and I found all kinds of really neat products and things that we can put down in that area. And I ran it by Stephanie, and she said that, you know, that they would really be, they're good. EPA would really approve these products that that they were demonstrating at the Three Rivers Wet Conference. It's, how can I explain it? It's they're like rubber bifolds, and it's like an egg carton, but you know, you get them 4 foot wide and roll them out, and you can fill them up with stone and dirt, but they have holes in it so water can permeate through, but you can actually still have plants grow out of it too. So that would be helpful. But the long-term goal is we need, and I met the Eloise Pete. Did you meet her at that day too, Ken?
Yes.
She's the grant writer for Ross Township. She's also she also lives in McCandless down on Panier somewhere. And she said that the secret to getting grant money and getting money from the Allegheny Trust, et cetera, is to have a comprehensive Parks and Recreation plan and have all this stuff in it. So I'm working with Brian to see what we can do about getting one of those. Because apparently if we can get a study of that nature done, and it involves the community input, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, it's a real official document. I'm sorry. It's different than our comprehensive plan. This would just be specifically for Parks and Recreation, but it then opens the floodgate for us to be able to get all kinds of additional funding for to buy property like that. What's the name of that property again, Dawn? I keep forgetting the name.
They were calling it the preserve at 485 Pine Creek Road, but we could just call it 485 Pine Creek Road, the old
Okay.
farm.
The old farm on Pine Creek, I call it Louise Bradley property, but anyhow, if we get this comprehensive survey, then we'll be able to go out to land trust and ask them to buy property like that, and get us grant money to put the trail in the way we want it. I did meet with the park rangers out in North Park, and they showed me how you build a trail, and it's pretty neat. You use this, and I think I've mentioned this last time. You do this McCullough, which is a big hoe, and you just dig straight in the hillside and pull it forward, and then you automatically have a base that's 200 million years old. It's just the earth that you expose has been there forever, so it's hard and compact. But the true way to build the trail is to build it laterally across the hillside instead of up and down. That's why you have so many switchbacks in North Park, and that prevents erosion from the water coming down off the hillside. So there's a lot of loose ends on this, David, but we're trying to assimilate as much information as we can. I got to get Ken down there with a spray paint to show me where to put the trail.
We'll do.
I have a ton of that plastic surveyor's tape left if you want to borrow it.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, I'd like it back when you're done for the rain garden, but during the
I
winter,
have
it's all
to-
yours.
I have to untie it from all the trees that we tie it on.
No, I'm giving you the role. Silly, but yeah.
Probably easier is I have a bunch of surveyor flags that we can just stick in the ground along with what the trail is. That's easier than marking the trees and painting and stuff.
Okay. I think there's a guy at North Park that actually designs trails too. I've heard that mentioned. I'd like to try to find out who that guy is. Maybe Don I know went to the arboretum. What do they call it?
Arboretum.
Arboretum.
Yeah,
Maybe-
they're uncovering the Arboretum Trail.
Did you
I'm
get-
not sure who you're talking about, Jack. Maybe Gary Rigdon. Is that who? But he wasn't there.
It wasn't Sam, so it was somebody else. Sam had
Yes.
mentioned.
Sam's one of the rangers, but Gary Rigdon's with the NAEC and maybe that's who he was talking about. I'm not sure.
Gary
Okay.
doesn't build trails. I have a couple of people that have built extensive trails and I'm not calling in those chips until we're moving ahead.
Okay. Well, it's still a work in process. Man, there's so much detail to this. It's ridiculous.
Okay, thank you. Next up is the fall litter cleanup. I can give a little summary of that. We did cleanups on consecutive Saturdays, October 15th and October 22nd. We did an earlier start time at 8:30 instead of 9 or 9. Meet at 9:30 and head out at 10. That seemed to be okay. October 15th, we had 19 attendees, including 3 from council, Kim, Zachary, Jack, Casey, and Jason Singer, and Brian O'Malley was there also, so that was good. One of the things that makes it hard to plan, there's a lot of planning that goes in and assignment of groups and that kind of thing, is no-shows. So we had 6 no-shows that morning. People had signed up and didn't show. So that creates a little bit of an issue. On October 22nd, we had 22 attendees and we had 10 no-shows. So that was even worse. October 15th, the bag total was about 60. October 22nd, we had about 50 bags. The 22nd, thanks to Matt's work with the Interact Club, we had 10 students from that club that came, so that was a first. So I think it was a good experience for them, plus the faculty advisor, blanking on her name, Jen Ellen. Is that
Lombardi.
correct?
That's right,
Yeah.
Jan Ellen Lombardi.
Okay, yep. So she and her husband were there, so that was great also. Both events, we had 3 police cruisers and the DPW assistants picking up the bags, so that was great as usual. So I don't know, we need some new thoughts or something. We used to have 100 people attend. Now we're down to about 20. So not sure what the solution to that is. Our group is meeting, the litter committee is meeting next week. Probably talk about some ideas to try to increase participation. The other thing that hurts us is the Adopt the Highway groups. Except for the EAC, we adopt the Ingomar McKnight interchange. I didn't see any of the other Adopt the Highway groups that picked up at all this fall. So that creates more of a burden on us doing Babcock, McKnight, Ingomar Road. So Perry Highway, so that becomes areas that we have to pick up.
Hey, Dave.
Yes, sir.
I don't know much about those folks who adopt the highway. How does that work?
It's managed through PennDOT. If you have a group that's interested, you register online with PennDOT. It's a 2-year commitment and you commit for a pickup in the spring and the fall. In the past, and you get a sign put up, those blue signs that say Adopt a Highway, next 2 miles or interchange area or something like that. Some groups I know or businesses use that for advertising. They have no intention at all of picking up litter, and we've seen that and we've heard that from them. Others just, they get interested at one, they might do it once or twice and then the interest falls off and they never back out of the program. We used to do try to do some contacts with the Adopt a Highway groups. It really didn't work out all that well. Some were enthusiastic and did it. Others, for instance, the students at La Roche, they may or may not do it. It's all very wishy-washy. Students from CCAC had an area on Perry Highway. We got them stirred up. Their health and safety officer there decided that they could only pick up litter if they stayed on the sidewalk. So I told the woman, it doesn't sound like Adopt a Highway is really for you. So they were supposed to drop out of the program also, because you really need to get into the bushes and off the road and, that kind of thing. You can't just pick up litter on the sidewalk. But their sign is still up. We've met with McCurry's office, Representative McCurry's office with PennDOT, tried to get some information on who the contacts are at the different groups in McCandless that have signed up for Adopt a Highway, what they've reported for when they've picked up, how much they've picked up. We were basically told that's not confidential information. We needed to submit a Freedom of Information request if we wanted that. So that pretty much dropped. So that's the Adopt a Highway program. There's signs up for groups that have in 5 years have never been out on the road, never picked up anything, and their signs are still up. So that's one of our obstacles, I guess. We do have, we picked dates for 2023, Saturday, April 15th and April 22nd. April 22nd is actually Earth Day, so we might want to think about on that day if the EAC wants to do something in addition to litter cleanup or something related to Earth Day, or I don't know, maybe just keep that in mind. And then we have dates in October also. So that's pretty much it on litter. I'd say it's on life support. To me, it's on life support. I don't know if it can continue. We'll see.
Hey, Dave,
Yep.
and maybe John could chime in here. Maybe we could utilize the town website to list all the Adopt a Highway companies out there, and then kind of give them credit if they do their work, and if they don't, it'll kind of be obvious because it'll show who's doing the work and who did nothing, maybe.
I don't know. I'm trying to bite my tongue here, but I've always thought that browbeating the Adopt a Highway folks was a waste of our time. I mean, if we know that they're not going to pick up, then we know that they're not going to pick up, and we should just, if we have the volunteers to cover those areas, great, we should get those areas. And if not, I don't think we should waste a ton of energy on it. I think our job is to hold events for the residents of the town of McCandless and to focus on that and not trying to enforce what's going on or not going on with PennDOT. I don't know. It just seems like.
Well, we shouldn't enforce it, but PennDOT or maybe the local legislators should enforce it.
I know the litter committees met with them a number of times about this, so I don't know. I just don't know how many times you bite at the apple. It's just, to me, I say we put our energy and our resources in having some great events and leave this whole Adopt a Highway thing alone. But, that's just my opinion. But I'm trying to bite my tongue, but we keep talking about it, so I'm gonna chime in.
Well, you know about it and I don't, so I take your wisdom.
Well, just an opinion. But
Just-
Anywho,
Just FYI, the people on the Zoom dropped out. As soon as Jack said, maybe John can look at, and then you dropped out, so we didn't hear anything that was, you were talking about, or were you talking to each other while John rebooted the Zoom meeting?
I'll let Doug play.
First
yeah,
time
maybe
it's
it's
happened.
best that we dropped out. Go ahead, Jack.
Okay,
What were you saying?
No worries. Let's pass.
Great.
all right. Next up to bat, sustainability, any update or progress on that?
Yes, yeah,
Mr.
absolutely.
Petro.
We have, we're doing all the preliminary work, so what we've done is I've talked to Shelley. And you know, to John and to RJ, and have pointed me toward what the initial requirements were for our 2019, so our October 2019 final plan, which got us a gold status. Then we've taken what is the new requirements for this year, and now we're going to run those two against each other. To number one, to see where, if we did nothing, where we would end up. So, you know, are we still gold or are we silver, or, you know, is some, you know, changes, attrition, you know, updates that will, you know, make us better, worse, and my guess is probably make us worse. So as we run those two together, we'll see what we can do that is easy to achieve. You know, what has been, you know, new updates, and then what we need to do to keep the gold status or move into the platinum status. So I think the preliminary work has gone very, very well. We met today, and we're running those two together, and then we're going to you know, sort of get up to speed with what the new requirements are based on the work that was done with the capstone. At that point, then we can sort of say, okay, you know, where's the low hanging fruit in this? What can we do now, and what have we done between then and now, as I was trying to articulate before, not well. And then, you know, what can we do? What can we bring to council to say, you know, this is easy to do, and what can we say, we can't get there, or these are budget items, or whatever that is. So we'll do that, and then you know, I've already talked to Anna too through the email. So we'll pull her into this and see if she can, you know, shed some light on you know, how to be more effective with this.
Yeah, my suggestion is that Anna was one of the leads on that project, and there, I don't know if you've seen all the criteria, but there's a pretty long spreadsheet of criteria.
But I'm in the dirt of it, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so it's-
nitty gritty, and John is helping me.
Yeah,
And so, you know, so we're gonna take that old one, and we're gonna, you know, we're gonna lay the new stuff in there and see where we stand.
yeah. So, no, I think, yeah, it sounds like you've taken the right path there. I think in general, the criteria has, let's say, become more robust or more rigorous or whatever. So I'm guessing we probably wouldn't be able to maintain our gold status.
Right.
And it would have a better grasp on that, but they identified some areas that we might be able to target that are kind of, let's say, low hanging fruit that would either keep us in gold or potentially move us to platinum. So, so I think, yeah, Anna can probably give you a pretty good synopsis on it,
Yeah.
summary on that.
The new one is, and I'm not sure, you know, if the old one was this robust, but the new one, you know, has a lot of, you know, there's a lot of additional categories. You know, again, maybe it's some things that we've achieved since 2009, you know, naturally,
Yeah,
and that would be good. But yeah, we'll take a look at those, and I'll categorize them and say, okay, we're here, we've done this. Or first of all, say, you know, now we're silver. You know, we've done this, you know, what points does that give us? How do we get to gold? And, you know, then you do your reach, you know, how do we get to platinum? Could we get to platinum? And then that's when I'll be working with Jack back and forth about, you know, does the council care to get there? Can we, you know, you know, is this in the budget for 2024?
right. Can we do it cost effectively? kind of thing?
Exactly, right, yeah,
Do a little cost benefit analysis or.
Exactly.
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for taking that on, Jeff, and really
Mhm.
getting your arms around it. Shelley's a great resource.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I know who Annie
Oh,
is. She was one of the students.
Yeah, one of the students, yeah.
Okay.
Ann Gertz is her last name.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was one of the rock stars of the group. I think she did a lot of
Okay.
work on it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Next up is community outreach. There's a what do you call it?
A speaker series.
Speaker
event.
series,
Yep.
event next Thursday night. How water shaped history and industry in Pittsburgh. Just hope, John, can we re-advertise that? I looked on Facebook today and it's quite a ways down underneath leaves
Sure.
and everything, so since it's next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I didn't see on our Facebook page, I didn't see a link to register. I
I'll have to
went,
go back and look. 'cause
I
thought
went
it
to
was
the
like-
Heritage site and there was a link to register.
I'll have to go back and check that. 'cause I
It
mean,
would, it
actually, the
says
Heritage Facebook-
registration required, but then there's no link to register, so.
I know the Heritage Center, they're also advertising it, so that's another plus we have this time around.
Okay, yep,
You have the flyer. Have you seen the flyer, John?
I think I've seen the flyer, yeah.
Yeah, I can resend it to you.
Okay,
but
should we stay, because I know that,
It has the link right in the flyer, to make it linkable on
oh, okay,
Facebook for what it's worth. I don't know
Okay.
how to do that.
yeah, I
Maybe-
don't know Facebook either, so,
Maybe put a link
Maybe
in
I
the
wasn't.
description.
That's what I
or
usually
something.
do.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, well, the good news is we do have 15 that have registered so far. Katie from the Northland Library sent an email out, actually, I think it was this morning. For what it's worth, the topic is called creatively named Water Under the Bridges. And so the speaking, like kind of the blurb we sent out was water's played a prominent role in the history and development of the Pittsburgh region, from helping to power the Industrial Revolution, to brewing beer, to shipping on the Three Rivers, to almonds at the Oakmont Bakery in the almond torte cakes. Water is an essential part of all that we do in Pittsburgh and is considered the oil of the 21st century. This talk will reveal some of the many ways water will shape our industry, history, and future on a personal and regional level. Along with the history of water, there will be an examination of environmental impacts related to water and a look at the future of water resource management. Join us for an exciting look through the past, present, and future of Pittsburgh's vast water resources. So that's Dr. David Sanchez from Pitt. He's had a lot of experience in water and is an environmental engineer. So hopefully you guys will be able to make it out there again next Thursday at the Heritage Center at 7 p.m. Yes,
that is in-house, so that's in person.
in person. Yes, we got yes in person.
At 7:30.
And I believe there's a 40-seat limit. Obviously, we're not too close to that right now, but usually
Yeah.
people tend to register late. So
I registered this afternoon. It said there were 24 spots available.
so you're number 16.
I'm probably, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so I
So,
actually. oh,
Tony,
yeah.
I don't know if this matters or not. I just went to the link that's available through the Northland Library page, the event keeper page.
Yeah.
It says there are 23 spaces available, so good news, you're up to 17. But it also, the description has not been updated to what you currently have. It's still called How Water Has Shaped the History and Industry of Pittsburgh. It has some of what you read, but not all of it. So I don't know if that's worth updating or not, but just as an FYI.
Yeah. Okay, so the blurb, okay, so it does have the flyer. I don't know how to explain the flyer without showing it.
But even the title,
The
is-
title's different too.
title is different. Yeah, the
Yeah,
title
it's-
is no longer.
Yeah, it's that longer, How Water Has Shaped the History and Industry of Pittsburgh. And then it has there's a couple paragraphs here, well, a couple sentences really. But a lot of what you said is not in there, but it's like stuff was added, stuff that you had is more than what is written on here right now.
And so you're on Northland Public Library, you said?
I'm on the link that comes out of Northland's page, so it's eventkeeper.com / a whole bunch of different things. I can email the link to you if you want.
No, I know exactly where it's at. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
have to, Katie Coleman takes care of that. So I'll have to email her and ask her if she can update the blurb. Yeah. and I guess the flyer. So I'll send it over to her. That's a good call. I didn't realize that. Right. Yeah, so I actually just a couple days ago, no, sorry, last Friday, I reached out to the Latotomy Nature Center, their Facebook page, and they said that they posted it. I couldn't find it on their Facebook page, but they said they posted it. North Area Environmental Council said they posted it as well. And then I reached out to a few other Sustainable Pittsburgh, Allegheny County Parks Foundation, Fern Hollow Nature Center, Frick Environmental Center, and Allegheny County Conservation District. So I'm hoping that, through a few extra posts, and if anybody would like to post on their personal Facebook or know somewhere else to advertise, please do so. If you'd like, I can send, how about I'll just send an email out to all of us with the flyer and the little blurb. Yeah, so yeah, if you want to send it to a neighbor or friend that might be interested, yeah. I think that's all I have for you, Dave. Yeah.
Do we, since this is a EAC sponsored event, do we do any refreshments or anything like that, or nothing at all? Just curious.
The one, oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, I mean, technically, they don't like food or drink up there. Because
Oh,
of the
okay.
exhibits, but,
Yeah. I know that the solar one that I did in May, there wasn't any.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, there
Okay,
wasn't,
all right.
yeah.
Bring your own water if you need water, I guess. Okay. All right, great. Thanks, Tony.
You're welcome.
Next up, Matt, anything update on STEM programs and all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, this relationship that we now have with Jane Ellen Lombardi at the Interact Club, she is also the gifted one of the gifted teachers at Nash. She's very interested in continuing collaborating with us. So one of the things that we have talked to her about, well, I sent her the link to the speaker series to let her students know about that. See if there's anybody interested. They are interested in doing the catch basin stickers, the sewer sticker program. And I think we talked a little bit about this over email as well, but they're looking to do that in the spring. What they would like to do, and we had mentioned this to them before, is have somebody who knows how to do this either come in or do it remotely. They actually would rather have a remote presentation so that they can record it, and that way if students aren't there at that particular meeting, they can watch it later. And what we were hoping to do, and I don't know if this can work because I don't know what the supplies are like, if they can keep the supplies in her room so that anytime there are students that are able to do this on a particular weekend or in an evening or something like that, they could sign up and go do it, get the supply straight from her, and just go out and do this type of thing. So I don't know if that's possible. If it is, that's going to be our best case scenario. We would send somebody, or we would have somebody do a remote presentation about how to do it, maybe even have something about why this is important and what is the value to this. I don't know who might be willing to do that or want to do that. They have their meetings monthly. And so starting in January, so they were talking about doing it either January, February, March, or April. I think the earlier the better, but we don't want to do it before the weather starts to break a little bit because these kids probably aren't going to be going out when there's snow and ice and things like that anyway. But they have their meetings from 2:30 to 3:15 in the afternoon. They were looking at a 10 to 20 minute presentation from us. It could even be recorded, they said, if it wasn't, that time period didn't work for whoever wanted to do this presentation. But they're very interested in getting involved in that. So if there's somebody who's interested in presenting some information about this, if there's somebody that knows how this works, I have done this somewhere else, so I don't even know if the way that it's being done here is the same. But is there anybody who is familiar with the process of this?
The only one I know that has actually done it is Judy,
Okay.
and Jason Singer has also done it.
Jason,
What's that?
Jason, yes.
Jason, yes, okay.
So if we want to talk to either of them to see if they'd be willing to do this presentation, and then if there's anybody that wants to talk about, you know, and I mean, they may have the information about why it's vital and important and things like that too, so they could do both. Or if we want to have two different people present, I'm sure we could do that too. But that's kind of what they're looking at. I guess without either of them here, it'd be tough to try to get a date from them as far as what month they would want to do it. But we have the dates of their meetings and the time, so I can either reach out to them, or if somebody else has their contact information, you know, however we want to do that.
Yeah, I think I had my eye on Dawn, maybe helping with that. A little, maybe 10 or 15 minutes on what goes into the catch basin. It gets into
Sure.
the stream, you know, the good things and the bad things, and
I'd be happy to, and I was gonna say, I'm happy to use my iPhone to film Judy or whoever else has experience doing this. I'll help film, you know, make
Yeah.
the little recording for the students, and, you know, yeah, and then we can provide some watershed facts.
Yeah, and it can even just be a Zoom call in, you know, I think they use Teams actually, but it can just be a Teams call in. It doesn't need to be recorded in advance. It could just be getting on at that time. So I'll send you and Judy the information as far as the times and dates are concerned that they have their
Okay.
meetings, and you can let me know, you know, if any of those work for you. And if they don't, then we can talk
Sure.
about actually recording something and then just giving it to them.
Yeah, I just know Judy and I both work during the day, so it,
Sure.
you know, maybe for us, it may work out better for us to just get it in the can and, but
Yeah.
yeah, let's talk.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll help.
absolutely. Okay, I will send that your way. In addition to that, I had mentioned to Ms. Lombardi about, we were talking a while back about how potentially getting students involved in the EAC, like getting a student on the EAC, having a student member. She thought that was a great idea. She didn't have a particular person in mind where she was like, this is the person, but she thought that if we did go forward with that, that would be something that some of her students would potentially be interested in, because she has a lot of students who are interested in environmental issues, but also a lot of students who are interested in local government and how local government works and things like that. So if we think that that is something that we want to pursue, we can talk about that, and we have a resource there.
I know I need to still follow up with the EAC network folks to find out what the language is that we have to submit to council to revise our ordinance or our resolution. I forget what it's called, that gives us our structure. But I'll do that, Matt, so that we can onboard somebody. If we have a student that's interested, that would be great. I'm all for it if I don't know how the rest of the committee still feels about it, but I think having a student on board would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And then the final thing, well, there's two more things, but the last one that I want to talk a lot about is she brought up that in March, they do something that are called career conversations, where they have people come in and talk about their careers, their jobs, what they do, what it's like to do that. It's about a half-hour presentation. Usually it's done, I think, in person, she said. They do record them, though, while they're there. And she was wondering if anybody who was a member of the EAC would be interested in coming in and talking, whether they have an environmentally related job or just any career that they'd be interested in talking about. So if there's anyone who's interested in taking part in that, the only details I have right now is that it happened in March and it's half an hour. But if you email me and let me know, I can get more information and connect you with her, and we can do that as well. So, which sounds like a pretty neat thing, I thought.
Matt, I'm interested in doing that. I'll shoot you an email though.
I'll do it
Great.
too, Matt. I'll shoot you an email.
Great, thank you. Then one thing, I'm going to step away from that for a second. I had mentioned last month about the environmental education grants coming from the Department of Environmental Protection from Pennsylvania. Don, I sent you an email regarding potentially doing something with the summer program that the Heritage Center is talking about. I don't know if that's something that you have any interest in. I know you're swamped with a lot of different
Yeah.
things here. So
I'm super
just-
interested. I haven't had a chance to review it. I periodically keep running into Abby though, and we keep talking about the summer programming. It's happening. So I definitely will be looking at that soon. As soon as Winterfest is behind us,
gotcha.
I'm all
That's-
on
yeah.
the,
Just wanted to bring that up and remind you about that.
I'm glad you
And
did.
then
Hold me
speak-
accountable.
Speaking of Winterfest, the other way that we are trying to get the students involved in the Interact Club and the gifted students from Nash involved is through Winterfest. And I'm going to let that just segue into Dawn's conversation about Winterfest because she's actually been in touch with Ms. Lombardi. So
Yes,
That's all I
so we did put a request in for some students to help work the Winterfest, our table at Winterfest. I haven't heard back from them yet if they have anybody that's interested. But just, Dave, do you want me to give the update on Winterfest now, or?
Yep.
I don't have
Go
the
for it.
agenda in front of me. Okay. So just real quick, that's moving along pretty quickly. So we've got a lot of good infographic and signage about, plastics, recycling, the length of how long, these items actually last before they decompose and that sort of stuff that we can hang up at our table for Winterfest. There's also a couple hands-on activities or demonstrations that I've identified that I think that we can pull off. And I gave Ms. Lombardi some of the details about that. So as soon as we hear back from them, I'm hoping we can get a student or two to help run those activities. I think that would be really fun. They're sort of like games to get the kids a little bit interactive. One is about how acid rain affects plants and things around it. Another activity might be like a craft kind of activity. And then the other activity, and I think this is going to be more of an all ages activity, is we're going to play sort of what we're going to call the Price is Right game, where we have a couple eco or sustainable products that were purchased locally and people have to guess what the price is and what local retailer it was purchased at, sort of just to educate people about little steps they can take locally to make a difference. So different games like that the kids may help run. So hoping to hear back from them about that. The decorations for the tree are going well. The theme this year is plants and pollinators. So everything on the tree is going to be about plants or pollinators. And it's all going to be made with basically materials that we've collected over the last couple weeks here. So that's all going well. So the details for Winterfest are it's December 3rd from 4 to 7. We are going to have a table. Like I said, I don't know yet how many students are going to sign up to work the table, but if anybody else is interested in helping to work the table, let me know. We're going to be next to the Autonomy Center's table, which is great because they had a lot of traffic at their table last year. They had a great display for the attendees, and they had a lot of folks stopping by their table. So hopefully we'll get to steal some of their traffic. And yeah, I still need milk, 1 gallon empty plastic milk jugs if folks have them.
Do you still need milkweed pods?
I absolutely can. I'm actually at a deficit. That's the one thing I don't have yet off of my list. So if you can,
I have them in my car.
that would be great. I'll meet up with, we'll figure out a time to meet up. I'll get them.
Or I can leave them with John.
Oh, however, if you need them out of your car.
Yeah,
you
I can just get them out of my car and give them to John, and then you can stop down here and get them.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
How many gallon jugs were you looking for? Because I have
Yeah.
one.
Well, that one will help. I've cast a wide net for gallon jugs, so I've got a lot of folks bringing them in. I need them. I need probably about 50 to 70, let's say, ultimately for 2 different projects. So keep them coming.
So can I ask a few questions? So where is Winterfest held?
John,
Right.
do you want to jump in or?
I hear it.
Yeah, it's being held here at Town Hall. back behind us in Devlin Park and
So it's outdoors.
yes, partially outdoors, partially indoors. Because of the
Okay.
rain last year, they did hold a lot in the garage over there, but
Yeah. And how many years has this been going on? I don't know anything about it.
this is the second year it's happening. It was
Okay, it's
good
only the
last year.
second year. Okay, and it was well attended the first year?
Very much
Yes.
so.
I thought so. It's sort of like community day, but in the winter time.
Yeah. Okay,
It's nice.
all right.
Um, Can I back up a little bit on the catch basin stickers? I wrote an email. There's a little bit of homework that we need to do, and I think I threw it onto John's plate. To figure out what we have for supplies for these stickers and adhesive and that kind of stuff, and there should be instructions out there also. And also to get some street listing from Jeff Shaneman on last year and this past summer's paved streets. Okay. I don't know what we have for stickers. We might need to get some more, or I don't know if that adhesive is out of date now or what. So we'll need to investigate that a little bit, but I think at one time it was given to us, the stickers and the adhesive were given to us from some agency or group or something, so not sure about that.
Yeah, you had also mentioned in your email the idea of having the club kind of scout to see what locations might need stickers if they'd been worn off for any reason or they just didn't have them in the first place. I had kind of floated that idea to Ms. Lombardi. She did not seem to really go for that part of it. So I don't know that we're going to get that type of interaction from the students. So if we have a list of specifically like what's been paved, so we definitely know that we need to go there, that's fine.
Yep.
We can see if certain students are interested in kind of going out and looking, or if if we know areas and we want to just, if we can create this as like a living document, like a Google Doc or something that we can add locations to. I know personally my neighborhood does not have them. So we might just be able to get some anecdotal evidence as well and tell people where to go to.
Okay. Good stuff. Thank you. Anything else on Winterfest, Don? That sounds pretty complete.
Nope, I don't think so. Unless
Okay.
anybody else, has questions or.
You had pine cones. What's that kind of bush with the flower that kind of looks dead now?
No?
Hydrangea, did you say?
Oh, I did get some hydrangea blooms, but I'll always take more.
Okay, because I have those.
Now, that some of them have been frostbitten. If you can dig inside your bush, the ones that are more interior are probably still holding their color a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Get me some
I'll
of
check.
those ones. Okay, thank you.
With the milkweed pods, if you had given me asked a week earlier, I would have been able to give you a ton more. They're all lost, all blowing out now.
It's okay, it can actually, it's the pod that I need the most, the empty pod. So it's okay if the seeds have blown out.
They're doing their work.
I'm collecting seeds because I'm going to be planting a bunch of milkweed over the winter, but I'm also needing the pods to make ornaments for the Winterfest tree. So I'll
So
take more
last
pods if you can get them.
year, if I remember, I was there, but it was mostly you and Judy who were there like an hour earlier or so and actually decorated the tree. Is that
Mhm.
so? Maybe starting at 3:00 or
Oh yeah, if anybody wants to come and help decorate it, that would be great,
right?
because we're gonna have the table to set up. I did in our request for students, I asked for help from 3 to 7 so that we could have some help setting up, but yeah, if
Okay.
anybody even wants to help with just that part and leave, that's helpful.
Dawn, I should be able to make it. I don't have anything on my calendar, so I'm gonna put it on there now.
Okay, and Tony, I was gonna email you about this, but just real quick. Do you want to put together or identify one or two solar facts, infographic type handouts or things like that do you want to put together anything
Yeah.
to hand out to folks? And John, I just talked to John today about we're also going to be able to post some information up on the website. So, we can have just a few handouts there, but QR codes and other things to direct people where they can get more info. So I haven't really had a chance to put a lot of effort into the solar aspect of digging up stuff for flyers and things for the booth. But like I said, I was mainly doing recycling, water. I
Yeah,
forget
that's a-
everything that's in my folder.
That's a great idea, Don, and maybe I could get like maybe a little solar panel we could put on the side of our table.
I think anything like that people can look at and ask questions about is great. Anything, yeah. The more stuff there is for people to look at, touch, ask questions about, the more it's going to draw them over. That's why the Latotomy table, did well last year. They bring all their pelts and stuffed animals and display things, and they have a lot of stuff on their table. So, gives you a reason to stop and look and learn.
Just a quick note, if you do have extra milkweed seeds that you don't need, we'd be happy to take them. Our church is putting in some milkweed plants and kind of divvying some out for butterfly gardens. To some of the parishioners, so yeah.
Well, Tony, I'll tell you what, depending on how
mailbox.
successful my nursery is, I'll gift them some.
All the milkweed are blooming there right now.
Okay, yeah, just snag them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like over 100 milkweed plants there, and they're all,
Have
All
you
the-
seen a lot of monarchs around there?
I only had one pupa this year, and it's seen more lanternfly than I am monarch.
Where's your patch at, Ken?
Right at my mailbox at the bottom of my driveway.
Oh, nice. Good to know. You might catch me creeping around your property now.
Okay, thanks for all that. Under miscellaneous, we had the North Hills EAC group got together in Ross last month in October sometime, can't remember the date. I know we had some good discussion with the Parks and Recreation Director from Ross. Anybody else have any input they want to share? Jack? Jack?
He was up early
He
this
was up
morning.
early, yeah, that's right.
Um,
We have a motion.
Jack, anything in terms of the EAC event that we had with Ross? Any you had already mentioned some work with Stephanie and the naturalist and Wall Park. I don't
And
know.
Eloise Pete. She's really knowledgeable and she's willing to help us get started writing a summary.
At the first one, there was a lady from Hampton that also was really good at writing grants, but I didn't get a chance to get too much further with her than that. But when we have these things, there's people that have the ability to do things that we haven't been able to do successfully.
Right. Right.
So there's no dirtier road than Midnight Road going down, through Ross and then up toward the Parkway. I mean.
Oh, God, yeah.
Is there any comment, and do they have a litter? They don't have any.
They haven't done anything on litter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see.
Well, that maybe in their defense, all of McKnight Road is covered by Adopt a Highway group. Two different Adopt a Highway groups.
Circular.
One that starts up in McCandless that goes into Ross, and then another one kind of in front of the signs in front of Coles at that plaza. It goes all the way down to where 279 comes in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
McKnight's bad.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I mean, one of our goals is to make sure that there's visually a difference between when you're driving through Ross and when you hit McCandless.
Yeah.
But that's, not to say anything bad about Ross, I guess, either they, with them Babcock Boulevard is bad too, going down that lower part of Babcock by Sheets down in that area. The road going up to Cemetery Lane is
It is,
bad.
Mm.
Those are kind of the main roads that I'm always on, but, yeah. Okay, next up, December McMail tips, anyone? Judy didn't put anyone down. I think we've kind of lost track of the usual alphabetical order.
I can do a
Anyone-
solar one. That's kind of fitting. Get solar, or is,
I
Yeah,
think that's great. That'd
Yeah.
be good.
That's a great idea.
yes.
Thanks for volunteering.
Thank you.
So at this point, John usually gives you a deadline for when that's due. Thanksgiving might interfere with that, but it might probably the week after Thanksgiving.
Let's do that, yeah, because I'm gonna do a mid-month McMail anyway, so we could probably get an extra week out of it. So I'd say like November 30th, maybe.
yeah, okay, November 30th. When would the McMail actually go out?
That would be that Friday, which would be December 2nd.
Okay, oh, that's plenty. Okay, because the webinar is on I think the 13th, if I remember correctly. So, yeah.
All right, thank you for that. Mr. Casey, anything you want to add on to or from town council?
No, I think we're pretty square right now.
Okay. Public, there's no one here in person, there's no one online, so we'll skip that. Anybody else want to say anything, do anything? Nothing, ready to adjourn? Motion to adjourn,
On motion.
Tony, second,
I'll second.
Ken seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Way to run a tight ship,
Thank
Dave.
you, Dave.